If you're interested in knowing what's going on in augmented reality, then you've come to the right place. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Alexis Mercedes, the project manager for Fractal Labs. We are an app development team that is passionate about improving the user experience of Web3 applications. On this channel, I primarily focus on Over the Reality, an AR app that utilizes blockchain technology. So if any of that sounds good to you, like and subscribe because I post every Tuesday. In this video, we'll be going over 13 different publications to Over the Reality. Over is exceptional among other applications because it's primarily user-generated content, and I see this as the next form of social media. If you're interested in checking out any of these experiences on your own, head over to the mobile app store and download Over the Reality. Let's kick off the review with two publications by Mitz. I love this video illustration of the t-shirt. I've had the opportunity to see this in real life. It is a physical t-shirt that exists, and it does do this AR trick. Using a video asset of that makes perfect sense, and it's good use of this technology. This is a good opportunity to show off my barely dysfunctional bear. Her name is Lola. Yesterday at a crypto meetup, I got to show off Over's occlusion options using Lola, and it was a great time. I like these animated characters as NFT assets because I use AR so much. This type of asset has a lot of utility for me, the AR creator. I'll have to show off my crooks some other time. These controllers they've created look really high poly. Like there's multiple versions of perhaps the same image overlaying tiny objects within this one object. At least that's what I think I'm looking at. But somehow, even though both are in here, it loaded very easily. So that was a surprise and a delight. Let's go to the next one. This is the other Mitz created experience that I found this week. I know I've been in this architecture before because I remember commenting that I had seen something just like this in Spatial, and that in Spatial, I was convinced that I couldn't get up the stairs because my fairy wings were too big. I got stuck. Anyway, it's wonderful to be able to reuse assets this detailed, like a large space like this, over and over again and reimagine it. I recommend doing that yourself. Not everything has to be 100% from scratch. And I see some of my favorite Mitz assets in here, like the Pac-Man video game. I still wish the screen was animated though. That would make it mwah. Oh, I would love that so much. I love the aesthetic here, and I get the homage to musicians, particularly rappers. I think this is a good time to bring up the topic of intellectual property when it comes to images. In Web3, it can feel like there's no rules. We can do anything we want. I have a background in publishing, and I'm aware that using images created by other people often does violate standard copyright laws. The chances of getting in trouble are really low, but the first use case presented to me about NFTs is that it's a way for digital artists to continue to get paid their proper dues, because digital art is so easy to steal that it's considered free. So what is the point of an NFT world that uses imagery created by other people? In no way is this a critique of this space or these creators. I just think it's an interesting topic and felt like this was a good time to bring it up. and understand that decisions about how that's going to work in NFTs are yet to be made. The conversation is happening with us or without us, so I want to be part of the dialogue to help steer where this all goes. I also have 2 experiences from Lo-Fi Radio. This is another creator that I bump into a lot. There are a handful of creators that are pumping out the majority of the work. I know this because I scour the recently published section and keep a good eye on all of that. Lo-Fi Radio just keeps getting better and better with their use of animations. There's something about the type of animation and where they put it that augments reality rather than just being a video within a video overlay. Like this subtle one I think of as a keyboard changing rainbow colors. By animating that, I feel pulled in, almost like I have control over this spaceship somehow. It's a fresh aesthetic, new to their collection, but it works. They're always nailing it, always branching out into new types of looks. And it looked good. It always looked good. I like the peekaboos into the outside world from inside the spaceship. They've successfully created a space that I would love to hang out in alone or with friends, either one. So that's a huge success. This second publication from Lo-Fi Radio stands out to me because I love this music. And these animations look great again. Totally different from the last time, but equally stunning. My only critique of this space is this image. Not only is it a little out of focus, but it doesn't fit the styling of the other assets here. We've got 2 distinct styles, the box art and this hyper detailed biological footage. They marry well together because they are in contrast and because there's repetitiveness of each of those styles. When you add a third one in and only have one of those things, it creates disparate imagery, and I think that the space would benefit from just taking that one out. Lo-Fi Radio is totally the kind of artist that I could make an entire video on. Comment below if you would like that as a format instead of 13 different random AR experiences, if you would like reviews of batched artists like 13 by Altered Alley, 13 by Alan Walker. If you tell me you want it, I will make it. This next experience is called Arash Kahangi, and it's by an artist I haven't bumped into before. It's another apartment scan. I have seen this type of publication in Over, but I really like these. I wanted to show it off, 1, because I hadn't seen this person before, and 2, because I genuinely enjoyed these. It's done by creating a 3D scan of a room, probably utilizing LiDAR in addition to photography. There are lots of apps that do that, and several of them create these pretty cool pieces of art. The scaling is just a little bit smaller than real, so it feels real, but bumps into issues like being so far away that there's IRL objects that mess up the illusion. You know, it kind of cuts back on the issues of having things too large for the space that you're in, but maintains that immersive, realistic feeling by scaling it just a tiny bit smaller than actual life. So I'm gonna try that. I think it worked really well. It was notably good. I also like these views where I can like look into my apartment and then look into their apartment, look into my apartment, look into their apartment. It gives you that transcending reality emotion. Is that an emotion? Transcending reality? Adding this JPEG or PNG up here puts a button on things. I think by having it added in and not just one single scan makes it look more polished or more intentional at least. I find these very amusing and look forward to seeing a lot more scans of people's apartments. And don't you just love these curtains? This one is called Prueba, which means test. So my assumption is this isn't meant to be a masterful piece of art. It's somebody testing out this application. But I wanted to bring it up because it gave me an idea for a fun use case that I think could work. This dome with lots of thin lines has a strong Da Vinci vibe. And I thought this might be a better way to do measuring. When I load an experience remotely using Over, I can't change the size of the models that appear, but I can change the position. I just love that idea, and I also love seeing people testing stuff out and just seeing what it does. I like seeing Pruebas. Flat Furn. This is the first time I've run into an over-the-reality application that uses audio instructions. She says things like, tap the floor to move where you want to go. Move the screen right or left. I tried really hard to record it with the sound for you, but the app just kept crashing. There were several other people in the room with me, and I think maybe that had something to do with it. It loaded just fine. It just didn't want to get all the way to the download the file portion of the screen capture. Things that went well, there were walls in this flat that were so realistic that I thought I was looking at my wall through the AR, but it was actually their wall. So if you can create an experience where the user can't tell where their apartment ends and the virtual apartment begins, then you've done something cool. Practicality wise, they put a layout diagram on the wall so you can see a more traditional image to help you navigate where you are. They also did those surprise and delight touches. For example, playing an animation on the model of a computer monitor. And this animation looked a lot like the animation I was in. So it gave you that like world inside a world inside a world vibe, which was fun. I like those classic high impact touches. And since I don't have a better recording for you, you'll have to just go visit for yourself. All the info will be linked below about all the experiences and artists that we've seen here today. The 8th experience I have for you, in no particular order, is Tunisia Metaverse Berber Mama. Doesn't that name sound so important? And then the landowner name, Film Artworks, really sounds like somebody I'd want to know. So the naming alone on this really pulled me in. The model itself though, meh. It could have an interesting texture or an animation or something that creates context, or it could link to a store so that you can buy this asset. You know, they got me so far with the naming. It's just like that one last step, like link me to your socials or something. And why a QR code inside of an AR experience? This has to be one of the few times that a QR code doesn't work. Like a QR code almost always works, but viewing AR requires use of your camera, so you can't do it. Plus, it's the one time you have no need for a QR code because there are collider boxes. You just link it to whatever. They don't work and they're not needed. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you want information on how to add a collider box to your over builds, then I recommend this video. Yeah, it is one of mine. I figured from the thumbnail that this one would be really cool. Repetitive objects like these tend to be low effort with high payoff because they have that ability to transform a space and give off that immersive feel. These are, for all intents and purposes, low budget art installations. Boy, do installations get me riled up. The fact that some of the cactuses were blooming and some of them were not was another indicator that this was going to be a good one, because I could tell they put some effort into some variation. It wasn't just literally the same object over and over again. But when I loaded this, it ended up being better than I could have ever imagined. Not only were these animated, they were animated in harmony. There were 3 or 4 different animations happening. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe just 2. But the way that they loaded it felt like I was in the center of a flash mob of cactuses, but in the most peaceful way possible. Overall, it was an eerie yet calming experience. I found myself humming while I was in it. Even though some of the models' animations are different, it's all in sync. This is one of the few experiences I've loaded that made me just want to stay. I wanted to just be here. And it's by LuxVR, so no surprise that it's awesome. LuxVR is a seasoned publisher / artist, so they know what they're doing. Goku and Freiza. This model of Goku is very popular. So much so that the experience I loaded immediately before this one by my friend Prueba was just this one model. Do overlovers love Goku? Or is it just at the top of the list in free sketch fab models? I think that they built something really cool here, assembling these different 3D assets, probably from a third party, in a way that makes sense, brings another world into our home, and does the AR thing. The music was interesting. I'm glad that they added it. It told me what it was. I had the word Yu-Gi-Oh in my mind when I saw this. This is Dragon Ball Z. Not my forte. What was especially good about this place is that not only do we get this AR landscape, but they diversified the number of spaces. So we've got these outdoor places and also 2 little hidey holes. What's not to love? Here's a trippy one. If you want an immersive calming experience, Planetario 3D by Daniel Diaz will do the trick. Although augmented reality is a differentiator for Over in comparison to other metaverses, it's not lacking in VR capabilities at all. This VR experience is a lot of fun, bright colors, cool music. I would love to see it in a VR headset. At one point I was like, wait, why did you bring the police here? But then I realized it was the TARDIS and I gave it a pass. Speaking of TARDIS, AR seems like the right platform to create what I call the TARDIS effect. You know, it's bigger on the inside. Imagine those 2 hidey holes from the last experience. What if, as you stepped inside of them, the world got bigger? So the outdoors was like a map essentially, and you could duck into spaces that then expand. That might solve potential problems that will come up when we can have contiguous publications. But that's all for another video, just an idea I thought I'd share. We're nearing the end of our list. Again, it's in no particular order. Number 12 is a classic use case, advertising. Imagine a near future where you're very comfortable using the Over app and there's publications all over the place. So you get into the habit of pulling open this app on a whim here and there, just to see what's published near you. Perhaps this is what will pop up, something fun, intriguing, and yeah, branded. I find it interesting because the assets seem to be cross-platform, and it's also informative. It's not just a blank ad like the name of a thing. There's lists of sponsors, and it's about an event that I might not know of otherwise. So there's a real value add. It was cool to come across something for the Philippines Web3 Festival because my friend, the Derbied one, talks about it all the time. Happy to see that festival is getting representation here inside Over the Reality, and I wish everyone involved the best of luck. Regrettably, this song is going to be stuck in my head. We're closing out on an architectural build. This one is Metagate Capsule by a builder I've become familiar with, Marco Pizzini. I like the courtyard and map in the front of this building. It creates a practicality. And it makes sense to put it in AR because this particular building doesn't really make sense for the physical world. There's no need to create practical buildings in AR. We can build whatever we want, and this is an example of that. One thing we know is that their branding is always consistent, but they've branched into a whole bunch of different topics, so I'm happy to be continuing to bump into this artist. I mean, who is Marco Pizzini? What is their agenda? How do you pronounce their name? I'm a fan of almost all their work. Did find them on LinkedIn. All right, that was all 13 I have for you this week. Quick shout out to my own experience, Oregon. It's an homage to my home state, where I also currently live. I tried really hard to also incorporate visual storytelling. I'll have a link to that, and again, all of the other experiences in the description box below. If you have the Over app downloaded already and are viewing this from your phone, you can pop them up directly from YouTube instead of having to type them in. If not, you can type it in, it's not that hard.
What I'm still wondering is, how early is too early? If we're still building all of these assets, yet I'm never naturally standing next to a live over experience, how long is it gonna take for this to be widely adopted? I'd love being able to show this off to friends, but most of us want strangers to discover our work.
If you're watching this, please know that I care about you. I appreciate your attention, and whatever you're planning to do with the information you find in these videos, I wish you the best of luck. I see success in your future. I'll be back next week with a fitness app that promises AR capabilities. I post every Tuesday around noon Pacific time, and I'll see you there. Okay, bye.